Hi everybody, my name is Emma, this is Emma Rosen Books. As my writerly kind of video this week, I wanted to talk about bullet journaling and using that to support writing. I'm sorry if you can hear the weather outside, there is basically a storm blowing, which is really annoying because I was planning to record the last part of my audiobook today. The part 2 making an audiobook video will be coming probably in a couple of weeks. But yeah, obviously it's loud, I don't know how well it's picking it up on this microphone. Anyway, I was the kind of person that had notebooks on the go. I found notebooks really useful. As a school teacher, basically what I would do, because I would have my teacher planner that would have my lessons and my lesson plans and so forth. But then I would always have a notebook as well, and in there I would record everything from to-do lists, shopping lists, like packing lists, quotes, notes from meetings, phone numbers, all sorts of stuff, all scribbled all over the place with, you know, doodles and all sorts, and I really loved it. I've got a very visual memory, so actually I can generally remember in which notebook and on which page something is. However, it wasn't necessarily keeping me organised, and what would happen is I would write a new to-do list probably about every 3 or 4 days, and kind of copy over everything that wasn't done from the last one and start again. And it was helping me to be organised, but once I was also balancing trying to publish a book. I have 3 kids as well, so like their social lives and all of that, it just wasn't quite cutting it. And I would recommend, like, anybody who's trying to organise themselves in any way, do like keep notebooks. It's so handy to have something on you that you can scribble stuff down in. Anyway, last year I started using a bullet journal and it has been amazing. My husband thinks I'm crazy for, you know, planning everything out every day, but honestly it's been really useful. So this is this year's bullet journal. I don't buy, like, I know you can buy the proper bullet journaling materials and diaries and what have you. I say I don't, I've done this once, but I don't ever intend to. I really like this. I picked this up in Tiger. I'm sure it's a design that they do. You know, they might not do the colours, but the style. So this is an A5 hardback. I like hardback. I love the colours of this. And what I particularly like is that, let me take out the bits of paper that have ended up being shoved in here. It's got no lines, which I really like as well, because then I can kind of freehand about things. When I started using this, I'd kind of seen other people and on Pinterest the really beautiful spreads and everything, and although I'm creative, I'm not artistic like that, largely because I haven't got the patience actually. I've always got something more important to do, and the point of this is not for this to take me ages to do, but to just be an organisational tool. So yeah, you know, this is not going to be a tutorial or anything of how to make a beautiful bullet journal. If you want that, there are bazillions on YouTube and they are stunning. If that's what you're looking for, then go for that. This is more about how I use this as a writer, the kind of bullet journaling I use and why it's useful. So basically I looked it up. I'll leave the links below about the information of how you do bullet journaling, and I use the method. So what I'm going to do from here on in is I'm going to be filming this. Now obviously I can only show you little bits of it because it has personal information in here, and then I'm going to start setting up my bullet journal for next year. This actually, a friend bought it for me and I really love it as a notebook. If I went and bought my own, I probably wouldn't choose this. It's not hardback, although it is, it's got like a cardboard cover, but I think I'm going to end up with the edges getting damaged of this, but it doesn't matter, you know. I don't really use larger notebooks like this. So the notebook I keep, have I got it here? Yeah. This here is the notebook. This is actually a really old notebook from when I was at university. I use this to make notes about, you know, if I need to scribble something down, or notes about the books that I'm reading. If anybody's interested, I wonder if I can find pictures of creatures. Look, from when I studied marine biology. Yeah, this is my kind of scrappy notes notebook, and I quite like having a small one so I could shove it in a bag or something if I needed to. So an A5 one is more suited to a bullet journal. The other thing is it has lines. So, you know, as I say, it's not ideal, but I wouldn't use this as a general notes notebook, so I'm going to use it as a bullet journal because then it gets used, and I don't believe in things not being used. So yeah, as I say, normally wouldn't be my go-to, but bought by a really lovely friend, and I do like it. It would just, I like the she believed she could, so she did, and that's in like metallic writing, so that looks cool. Yeah, so it is a really nice notebook, and I'm looking forward to using this and having this lying around the place and what have you. So yeah, I'm going to set this up as well and show you how I go about doing that for next year a little bit. We'll see how we go from here. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to go through this bullet journal. Excuse creases on my bed. I can't show you everything, but I'm just going to show you generally what's in here. So first of all, I can't show you the first page, but I recommend if you are setting up a bullet journal, put your name and phone number in there. I don't really want to share my personal phone number with the internet, but just in case you lose it, at least people can call you and say that they've found it, so you can put some kind of personal contact details in there. Right, then I have an index. Now, as you see, I made a vague effort, so I've done some kind of, calligraphy-ish type of thing, and I stuck some fish stickers in there. Whatever, if you want to make nice titles, then do. As you can see, this is nothing compared to most people's beautiful bullet journals. Then I've written out each bit and what pages that they're on, and I gave myself a double page spread. I actually didn't need it, so I may just use one page for the next one, so that I can write those out. But the great thing is, obviously, that you don't need to, you can set the pages as you go. You don't need to set it in advance. You just write it in as you add something. And as I added extra sections, so let's see, when did I do books I want to read, right? So I added that halfway through the book, but because you've put your page number in, it doesn't matter that it's not near the beginning, so you can suddenly decide to try something. Right, next is the future log. On here, I've done each month, excuse me covering it up, but as I say, there's personal stuff, people's birthdays and stuff. And so I've written out the month, like so, and then written next to it anything that's happening in that month. I also wrote some goals at the top, so you can see complete book, publish book, did that. Start a business, I've done that. Quit job, I did that. Was that my goal at the beginning of the year? Wow, I was feeling really motivated. Read more, yeah, I've probably done that. Eat better, yeah, maybe. And declutter, yeah, that's kind of ongoing. So those, apparently, when I set this up in January, were my yearly goals. So then I've got the same, another page of future log. So again, the 3 months to a page. Now here, I've written a key. So this is how you actually set things out when you're doing the bullet journal. So if you've got a task that you need to do, then you do a dot to signify that. If you complete it, then you do it, you cross out that dot. If you've migrated it, so as in you're going to do it another day, then you do a little forward facing arrow. If you have scheduled it, so you actually know when you're going to do it, you do a backwards arrow to kind of say, yeah, it's dealt with, but it's organised for another day. Events have a little circular thingy. Notes, if you literally just want to write down something random, I do occasionally, then you do a dash. Put a star by something if it's a priority. If you want to write that something has inspired you, you do an exclamation mark. And if you want to look in something more, you do a question mark. So it's handy to have that written down, especially if it's your first time doing a bullet journal. So I stuck that on the top of my future log thing. Okay, next I've got a couple of pages where I wrote the books that I've read. So there we go, that's the books I've read this year, and just scribbled them down as I went. Actually, because I ran out of room, the next page where I've done this, I have given them ratings, but this is without ratings. Then over here, I've got present ideas for my children. So if they say that they particularly want something, because people ask me, oh, what would Finn like, or what would, then at least I've got a list. So, and then I cross off things as they get bought them. And then this is how I set up my monthly spread. So January, I've written it in some vague kind of fancy writing. And then I write the days, the numbers of the days with the letters of the days down. And then next to them, I write down, so let's see what I've got here. I'll show you one. Well, the kids went back to school. Brilliant. So, it can be anything from family stuff to business stuff or whatever, but then you write down your events down there. Then for each month, I set myself tasks that I kind of want to focus on that month. So in January, I wanted to finish editing my book. I wanted to investigate the business side of things. because at this point I was still looking at traditional publishing as well, so I was kind of viewing things from that point of view. So anyway, that was where I was at, and then I've got some more personal stuff underneath, so that's what I do, set that up that way. Okay, then I'm going to give you a couple of examples of days. Now, back early in the year, I was recording whether I'd done any writing, whether I'd done stretches that day, and how many steps I'd walked. I was very conscious on kind of trying to be more healthy. This fell by the wayside. I stopped doing this because basically I couldn't be bothered. But yeah, I was recording that at that time. So you can see all I do is write the date with a box around it, and on this particular day all I did was go to London, so that's what I've written there. Let's see if I can find something else to show you an example of when I've got a little bit more going on. Okay, as an example, not a very eventful day, but on Tuesday the 13th of February I went to the cinema. I was supposed to upload a video, but it looks like maybe I didn't because I didn't cross it off. I was meeting my band, apparently. Don't remember, but whatever. So that's an event, as you can see. Finish book, whether that was writing or reading, I have no idea, can't remember now. And then create a social media tracker. So yeah, you can see there how I've like actually used it. Okay, and then here's my social media tracker. I found this really, really useful to look back. So in February, which was when I started recording it, you can see I have 3 subscribers on YouTube, 158 on Twitter, 84 on Insta, and 12 on Facebook. And then every single month, I've just recorded where I'm at, and it's been so useful to see the growth. And so even if I feel like maybe my social media hasn't grown, that it has, because all of this is so useful for the business side of my book. I did make one attempt at a habit tracker. I know that people do these and I kind of like the idea, but I found I kept forgetting to fill it in. The things I chose to track, so basically, you know, I just printed this off and just wrote the days next to it and then was colouring in. So I was tracking whether I'd read anything that day, because I was just really trying to make a conscious effort to read more and get into the habit of reading more. Anything to do with the book. If I'd done, I think it was 6,000 steps was my target, and I'd colour it in if I did, and then doing stretching. I have hypermobility, by the way, and so kind of doing like calisthenic exercises and stretches really helps with my joints, and at this time, again, recovering from having a baby, it was really useful to me to try and kind of encourage myself. And that's the point of these habit trackers, is to kind of make yourself accountable. Obviously you can change this and do however many things you want to do, but these were the things that were useful to me. So you can see I was pretty good on the reading. The book stuff, I was really, really hot on it, and I hardly ever did the exercise stuff. But I did it for a month, and then you can see the last few days I kind of fell off of it, and then I thought, you know, I personally wasn't finding it that useful. And I think that's the thing with a bullet journal, you can see what is useful to you. But the nice thing is as well, every month is a new month, and then you can choose to change the format or include new things, and have it as kind of an organic thing. So yeah, I only did this, what month is this? February, I did this habit. So essentially then I have just carried on like that. Because I wasn't specifically writing things, I was editing. I haven't chosen to have like a word tracker or anything like that in here, but you could. Like you saw in January, I was recording just whether I'd worked on writing. That was anything to do with the book, actually, any bookish stuff, and I'd do a tick if I did. But you know, you can do that, you can add a tracker. But what it did mean is if I had something to deal with, like, you know, as I said, I couldn't really show you because a lot of the examples of when I was talking about working on my book, I also had personal stuff in there. So, you know, if I needed to make a phone call about something to do with the book, or if that was the day when I wanted to inquire about editors, or, you know, I needed to edit a certain chapter or whatever, then you can plan that out. Now, I know that some people like to put a week out on a double page spread and have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, and then obviously you can say, oh, on Friday I need to do that, and you can write that later on. Personally, I don't do that. The reason being that I like to, first of all, I kind of can't be bothered to actually draw out all the boxes and make sure everything's the right size and all of that, and kind of know what else to put on the page. I know people make them really beautiful, but for me it literally is, I want to write down that day, I want to think, right, what do I need to do, and stick that underneath. And I haven't really found it being an issue not being able to write like, oh, what am I doing on Friday, or whatever it might be, because if there is something specific I need to do on that day, I can go back to the monthly page and write it on, oh, don't forget on Friday I need to do that. And obviously as you go through this, you transfer things from the yearly to the monthly, monthly to the daily. So yeah, as I say, I know people do set it out as a week, I don't. And sometimes I will have more than a week on a double page spread if things are quite quiet. Other times I might only have 2 or 3 days. And I think that's the thing, I didn't want to be constrained to a box, because I do have days where there's lots of little things that I have to remember from. Even sometimes I write down, don't forget to put the clothes away, or, you know, don't forget that you need to sort through a cupboard in the kitchen. You know, it's literally anything and everything, from home stuff, events that the family are doing, people's birthdays, and then obviously on top of it, the whole point of this is then things that I need to do with writing, things that I need to do in terms of the business side of things, and the social media things as well, because those are all the things that come hand in hand. So it just helps me to do that. So I'm going to show you then, I guess, what I do differently in here, some of the other things that I'm going to choose to do. Now again, I'm not going to choose to do a word tracker at this point, because I'm writing a children's book. I don't need to be tracking how many words I've written or that kind of thing, or yeah, it just isn't useful to me, but that's an option. Or how you can do anything you want. There are loads of examples out there that you recording anything that you think it's useful, basically to make yourself accountable of, did I do this? And I think that's a beneficial thing, rather than me having a massive to-do list that I started 5 days ago, and yes, I've ticked some things off, but I might have done all of those things on one day. I have a daily, right, realistically, what should I be trying to get done today? What needs to be done today, and what is, so that I can be productive, what can I get through today? And that for me has just been so useful, of not just having this endless list that there's no way I can get through. It's always, okay, what should I be doing? And then seeing that I've ticked that off, and yeah, occasionally I have to say, no, I didn't get through that today, I'm going to do that tomorrow. But then if you keep having to write something down, and you know, it's the 3rd day when you've rewritten that thing, that's, you know, you start kind of giving yourself a hard time going, actually I really need to do that. I personally really like that this is just a bit scruffy and handwritten, and basically I sit and do this of a morning and of an evening. Some days I forget to do it and I fill it in retrospectively, but generally at some point in the morning, might be like while the kids are playing or something like that, I'll sit down and go, right, what do I need to do today? Sometimes we'll have already written a few things down and then I'll add to it, and obviously sometimes I'll add to it during the day and go, oh, I mustn't forget to do that today as well, and write it down. And then at the end of the day, tick off, what did I do? And start writing the next days. So that's how I manage it. So I have set this up. Please excuse the lighting, it's the evening now, so sorry if it's a little bit dark. So as with before, I've got my name and contact details on the inside cover in case I lose this. Now in this book, it's got this bit where it's got like a single page and the grey kind of inside page, and they're stuck together really high up. So, and you can't really open them very well, so I decided just not to use that page because I thought it would get on my nerves. So then we get the index, and I've already filled in the bits that I've already put together, and I decided I couldn't even be bothered to do as fancy headings as before, so I've really gone simple. So I've allowed myself a double page spread. Then I have set up my future log. Now please excuse the fact I haven't actually stuck these in. Couldn't find my glue, I don't know where it is, I think one of the kids has nicked it. Anyway, I thought rather than writing them out like I did last year, printed them out, cut them out, and I have blue tacked them in for now, but I will glue them in once I've found where my glue has been hidden. And then next to these I will write down birthdays and so forth. You know what, even though I said that I prefer unlined, I'm kind of into this because I think it's going to help me to just kind of make things a bit neater. It'll be interesting to see compared, you know, whether the lines actually help. And then I've put my goals for this year, grow my business, so that's kind of in general looking at, you know, having more books and selling more, and having more social media and just everything to do with my writing stuff, just growth in general with that. Publish my children's book, because that's the next project I'm working on right now, and I don't know realistically whether I'll get through more than just that next year. We'll see. Be healthy, just in general. I like to be conscious of my health. I continue to minimise. I'm very interested in trying to minimise the things that we have and live as simple a life as I can, and that's very much an ongoing process because it is not easy with 3 kids. So you've got that. I've done 6 months and then another 6 months. I haven't filled in the dates in that yet, I will do. And then the next page, I've done the books I've read. I know some people make this look like beautiful bookshelves, and it does look lovely, but again, this for me is just about it being a tool, and I'm not so fussed about the beautiful aspect of it. And I've left myself a double page spread this time because last year I thought, oh no, I'll only read 1 page's worth, and actually I'm onto my 2nd page. So I'm allowing myself a double page spread, and then if I find I read more than that, then I'll do another double page spread later on in the book. And then I've done kids present ideas. So again, like I said, it's a good idea if they say that there's something, because then you don't just end up buying them junk. You get, things that they actually want. So if they mention things, then I can pop them in there. So I will divide that up by kid. And then books I want to read. Sometimes people mention things and I want to make a note of it. So I've got a page for that. Actually, I didn't really show you that in the old one. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see what's on the book list, the old list of books I'd like to read. Neutral Buoyancy, I've read that before. That'd be a reread. Zero Waste Home, apparently. I don't even know who that's by, actually. Essential Essays by the Minimalists. See, I was saying I'm into it. Holly McNish, Nobody Told Me. I read that. The Sky Is Everywhere, I'd really like to read. I read one of Jandy Nelson's other books. The Bells, I was kind of interested in. The Sea Around Us by Rachel Carson. I really like Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, so it's another book by her. I wanted to give it a go. Open My Eyes, that's actually called, I think, Open My Eyes So That I May See Marvellous Things, or something like that. Can't think who that's by. Other Minds, I think that's a science-y looking at brains of other creatures, if I remember rightly. All the Light You Cannot See, I have read. And So You've Been Publicly Shamed, I've wanted to read that for ages, so that's my list. I guess I'll transfer over the ones that I haven't read from that and add more. But so back to the new one. The only other thing I've added is a social media tracker, and I will draw out a month by month thing in here like I did in the old one, so that I can keep a record of across my different social media, how many subscribers and followers and things I have, because like I said, I find that very motivating. And then this will be where January starts. So, it's not completely started, but I wanted to make the point that you can do bullet journaling without it being beautiful. I will slowly fill those things in as I take the mood to do it. And being able to lay things out day by day, and like I said, you don't have to do it as a weekly spread the way that people do. You can just make it note form like I do, where it's just day, write some notes underneath, and use the method of the key to kind of keep abreast of what you need to do that day, what events you've got, what tasks you have, whether you've completed them, and then being able to copy events over into the next day if they weren't completed. And it just really helped me to keep on top of everything to do with my writing. So I hope you found that really useful. I have found bullet journaling really useful. It's just such a great organisational tool, hopefully, as you've seen. And yeah, let me know if you use this method, or if you're kind of a notebooks all over the place kind of person. Leave me a comment, please like if you did, and please subscribe for more videos about writing and reading and general bookish content, and I'll see you all for my next one. Bye!